House will please come to order. Those persons not having privilege of the floor will please vacate the chamber. All members and guests in the galleries will please rise as we are led in prayer today by the gentleman from the 29th District, Delegate Dillon.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today with thankful hearts, understanding that all good things come from you, and we thank you for the many blessings which you have bestowed upon our great state. As we go about our business today, we ask for wisdom to make the right decisions, courage to do the right things, even when it's hard, strength to continue even when the road gets difficult, grace for ourselves and others because none of us are perfect, and faith, most of all, faith to remember that you are who you are and your promises are eternal. We thank you for that today. We ask you to guide us and direct us in our decisions and our practices throughout the day. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing as we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance today by the gentleman from the 80th District, Delegate Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in renewing our pledge to this country and those stars and bars. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members and guests may be seated. Reading of the Journal.
Journal of the House of Delegates, February 3rd, 2026.
Gentleman to 77, Douglas Stowler.
Mr. Speaker.
House will be in order. Gentleman to 77th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read.
Gentleman from the 77th, ask unanimous consent that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Introductions. Gentleman from the 89th, Delegate Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everybody. Today I have a couple introductions. Lieutenant Stuart Davis is here with his family, an 18-year deputy I've had the pleasure of serving with at the county level. He's also the chief of our Capon Bridge Fire Department, a volunteer fire department at that. And also he's here with his wife, if they would please stand. Danielle Davis is a Hampshire County teacher and aide, and his daughter, Josie, if you would stand please. Josie Davis goes to Hampshire High, our only high school in the oldest county. She's a cheerleader, and her little baby sister's here today, Katie. 4th grade, Capon Bridge Elementary. Would you guys please join me in welcoming them to the Capitol? Thank you.
Gentleman from the 72nd, Douglas Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Joining me today is a family friend. He's getting ready to stand up and head over to get somebody something. Would Ian Swanson please make himself rise? And is Pamela, his mother, in the center gallery. Sorry about that. He's from John Adams Middle School. If the House would please make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 12th, Douglas Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've noticed that after 2 hours of being in the same room with us, Dr. Benson and his staff from WVU who gave the budget presentation today, would they please stand and welcome them to the West Virginia House of Delegates.
Lady from the 52nd, Douglas Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's great to see in our halls today and in our galleries we have our fire departments here. It's every day that we rely on their services. We have paid positions, but we also have a whole lot of volunteers. We definitely need their services. We greatly appreciate it. And in the North Gallery, I have the chief of our fire department from the town of Chesapeake. Please give him a very warm welcome.
Lady from the 63rd, Douglas Dittman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to introduce a page. His name is Colin Martin. He is a 6th grader from Gilmore County Christian Academy, and he is with his mother, who is in the West Gallery, Alicia Martin. Please make them feel welcome. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 30th, Douglas Eldridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I have a page with us. He was here last year, and he's back. Drew Gilmwater from Sod, Lincoln County, and he is chaperoned from Lincoln County from his mother, Amber, and Craig Gilmwater. If they would please stand and make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 2nd, Douglas Teslo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce one of our former delegates and one of the original infamous Four Horsemen, former delegate Ron Walters.
Lady from the 15th, Douglas Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone, and I'm pleased to announce that I have a page here from Roane County. His name is Phoenix Casto. If he could stand, please. And he is accompanied by his grandmother, Connie Lapardis. She is in our West Gallery. If she could stand, and please make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 8th, Douglas Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. In the North Gallery today is Chief Jamie Chapman from the Alma Volunteer Fire Department. His department serves many of our communities in the 8th District, and it's always a pleasure to welcome a Payton City High School alumni. The House will please make him feel welcome.
Lady from the 56th, Douglas Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone. I'm proud to be joined by a page, and he's running around here somewhere. I've got Nathan Lemaster. He's back in the back. Hi, Nathan. He's in the 8th grade at Polk Middle School. It's his first time paging, so make him feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 25th, Douglas Hornbuckle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. We'd like to introduce some friends today. Today, we recognize Coalfield Development, a Huntington-based nonprofit creating opportunities throughout rural West Virginia and generating new economic growth through workforce development, community-led construction projects, and new enterprise development. Coalfield's workforce programs provide paid, hands-on training for individuals with barriers to employment in a variety of sectors, combining rural work with education, skills development, and support for long-term career success. Coalfield also leads the Solutions Program, a year-long cohort of community members implementing practical solutions to challenges in their own communities. We're glad to have solutionists and staff members with us here today. If they're in the gallery, please rise. We have Peter Quorum from McDowell County, Becky Honeycutt from Wayne, Claire Loftus from Fayette, Donna Salisbury from Clay, Isaiah Valentine from Raleigh, Kyle Williamson and Hayden Thompson from Logan, and we also have Dreama Buck and Keith Howard. House, please make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 99th, Douglas Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, we have all the way from beautiful Jefferson County, our folks from Citizens Fire Department. We have Captain Ronald Fletcher, Sandy Schlusher McDonald, and Diane Vines. Please make them feel welcome. Thank you.
Lady from the 70th, Douglas Petito.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we are also have the honor of the West Virginia University Extension Service here, and I have two representatives from Clarksburg, Harrison County. In the North Gallery, Eva Vito and John Wickline, and also from Marion County, Jason Riffle. Thank you, and please make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 85th, Douglas Hott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning. Can't help but be excited because it's not often that I have the privilege to introduce guests, but I have some very special people, some distinguished members from Grant County down here today that I'd like to direct your attention to the South Gallery. Volunteer firefighters from the Baird Company 130, Randy and Peggy Riggleman, if you'd please stand. From the Maysville Company 200, Jeff Teeter, would you please stand? And from Petersburg, Company 400, we have Bobby Funk, Hunter Wetzel, Joe Dolan, and Blake Dolan. Would the members please give them a warm welcome and show our appreciation? Thank you, guys. Great.
Gentleman from the 29th, Douglas Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Wayne County delegation, I note the presence in the South Gallery of a constituent and community advocate from Dunlow, West Virginia, right on the doorstep of beautiful Cabway-Lingo State Forest. Miss Becky Honeycutt, will you stand? Will the House please make her feel welcome?
Gentleman from the 88th, Douglas Hillenbrand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mineral County is one of the few remaining all-volunteer EMS counties. Using the information from the 2025 New Creek Volunteer Fire Department annual report, they alone made 839 EMS ambulance calls for a 95% response rate last year out of a total of 1,170 calls, which just highlights the importance of our volunteer EMS and firefighters. In the South Gallery, if you'd please welcome from the New Creek Department, EMS Sergeant Kate Walker, Assistant Chief Dylan Keister, and West Virginia State Firemen's Association First Vice President Craig Cox, along with from Burlington, Captain Robert Dawson, and from Fort Ashby Volunteer Fire Company, past President Steve Miller.
Are there further introductions? Standing committee reports.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 4601 relating to the Child Abuse and Neglect Investigations Unit. Reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill do pass.
Report to be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 4522 banning foreign-backed spending on state ballot issues. House Bill 4755, adding aggravated vehicular homicide to the list of qualifying offenses, and reports committee substitutes back, therefore, with the recommendation each do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Health and Human Resources had under consideration House Bill 4982, Make West Virginia Healthy Act of 2026. Reports committee substitute back, therefore, with the recommendation the committee substitute do pass.
Report will be received. Other standing committee reports. Select committee reports, executive messages, Senate messages.
Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed the following bills. Senate Bill 536, relating to qualifications for serving on certain academic boards.
Message to be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Education.
Senate Bill 556, modifying priority of insurance coverage for drivers of certain vehicles provided by entities.
Message to be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary and the Committee on Finance.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 573, relating to requirements for disclosures and record keeping by persons making mortgage loans.
Message to be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Senate Bill 574, relating to bank merger by interstate branching.
Message to be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Senate Bill 581, eliminating requirement the Commissioner approve joint account forms used by banking institutions.
Message to be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Senate Bill 582, relating to requirements for licensure as mortgage lender or broker.
Message to be received. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance. Other Senate messages. Other Senate messages. If not, resolutions, petitions, bills introduced.
House Bill 5160, prohibition of geoengineering.
Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to the further reading of bills introduced be dispensed with, that each bill be considered as having been formally introduced for the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system.
Gentleman from the first, ask unanimous consent that the further reading of bills introduced be dispensed with, and that each bill be considered as having been formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Motions. Unfinished business. Bills on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4004, creating the Recharge West Virginia program.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman the 72nd to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill would create the Recharge West Virginia Act. A new act authorizes the reimbursement to qualifying employers to pay for upskill training of an eligible employee. An eligible employee is someone who is currently employed by the qualifying employer, who has resided and has been employed full-time for the previous 6 months, has a qualifying wage that as a new wage is paid will increase at least 25% greater than the employee's current average wage. The Recharge West Virginia program will be administered by the Division of Economic Development. It's a competitive program which will be evaluated based upon the wage increase of the employee, the level of economic distress in the region, the amount of the employer paid contribution, the employer's history with the work program. This will be a reimbursement program of which the employer must enter into a grant agreement with the division. That's the bill, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to answer questions.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Lady from the 56th, Leggett Young, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield for some questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to start with saying I like this program a lot. I just some specific questions. Could you tell me how this is the West Virginia Guaranteed Workforce Program that we currently have in law?
Yes, I'd be happy to. This program is a little bit different from the fact that that program primarily looks at new and expanding businesses of which you create up to 10 jobs. It's more focused on employer rather than employee. This Recharge West Virginia focuses more on the employee and the upskilling of the employer rather than the other one. It had the West Virginia Workforce Guaranteed Workforce Program has a maximum of $2,000 contribution, has no wage increase guarantee. So the Recharge West Virginia focuses on the employees of West Virginia.
Which I think is good and sounds like we need also. It sounds like up to $10,000 is able to be received from the Recharge Act. Is that money's not going to the employee, it's going to the employer, is that right?
Correct, for the cost of the upskilling training
Okay,
cost.
so up to $10,000, which is a reimbursement for the cost of the upskilling training for the employee.
Correct, of which
Okay.
the employee will receive an increase of at least a 25% increase in their wages.
Which is exciting. Okay, so
Yes.
on the program, and this is not a tax credit, this is money that is going direct, a check going to the employer, is that right?
So this is a program which reimburses the employer for the training and the investment that they put in their employees when they get an increase of at least 25%. So it's a reimbursement for training.
Reimburses them with money, not a tax credit, is the question.
It reimburses their part of their cost or full cost depending on what the cost of the training.
With money.
Yes.
Okay, and where's that money going to come from?
Well, I would hope that the chairman of finance would see it within his purview and his blessing to fund it.
I would hope so too, but it doesn't look like we're setting up a fund. Do we need to set up a fund, or if we so choose to appropriate money, where's that money going to go?
Well, funds can be set up either through statute or within the budget.
Okay, so is the expectation to set up a fund within the budget? Because this bill does not set up a fund, and typically that's how we do things.
Well, they're done both ways. So I would hope that that would be the case in this situation, that we
So
would
is
set
your
up one in the
intention to put
budget.
it in the budget?
My intention is if this legislature and this body sees fit to pass it, that I would request that the finance chair appropriate some money.
Okay, I would also hope that is true. On the employees, it looks like an eligible employee is someone who has lived in West Virginia. They currently work in West Virginia. They've worked here for 6 months, full-time employee, and they have lived in West Virginia for the previous 6 months. Is that right?
Yes.
And how are we gonna determine that?
Well, I would assume that if they've lived in West Virginia, they'll have a driver's license, they'll be employed, so they will have a W-2 of which they have records from their employer of where they lived, where they sent the W-2 location to, and how long they've been employed.
Okay, and it doesn't look like they have to be a citizen. Is that right?
They have to live in West Virginia. I don't believe this is, the bill speaks to that. I
Okay.
assume that they're gainfully employed and legally employed.
Okay, just want to make sure we're getting it to all the employees. And so for the qualifying employers, looks like they have to be registered with the Secretary of State and then also be in good standing with unemployment. Are we concerned that they might not be in good standing with the tax department? Because it doesn't look like they have to seek any sort of letter of good standing from them.
You can also get a good standing from the Secretary of State's office as well as the tax department. So that's why we have the registered. That could have been a great amendment had you offered it.
Okay, but so the letter of good standing just means that they are a business with that doesn't clarify their tax stuff with the Secretary of State, right?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. And then I think this is a great program. I am concerned that it looks like after the 2 years after the program goes through, if we're reducing the wages, not we, the employers reduce, I'm on page 6, section K. For 2 years after the date on which a reimbursement is received, if the employer reduces the wages, that they have to let workforce know. I just worry the workforce is going to have a hard time keeping up with all this record keeping.
Workforce submitted a fiscal note. They did not see an issue with it.
Yeah, their fiscal note said that the Department of Economic Development would be submitting a fiscal note, and they did not do that. So that's in the questions of how much is this going to cost?
Well, right now there's a fiscal note of 0, ma'am.
From Workforce Development, who punted to Department of Economic Development, and Department of Economic Development did not submit a fiscal
So
note.
they already have that program, which is similar, which you referenced earlier in the West Virginia Guaranteed Workforce. So it's a similar administration type. There may be slight differences. So maybe they just didn't think it was appropriate to submit one because they already had a program somewhat similar established.
And
Not sure.
I worry with the Guaranteed Workforce Program, they stopped submitting annual reports to that program, even though they're in code in 2019. Is there going to be a reporting requirement to the legislature? I know we want to keep the information of the employees confidential, but how are we going to know if this is working? Because we don't know if the other one's working either anymore, which is a great program.
We do not require a report of the legislature. I think that's always a purview of this body to call in agencies. We regularly have them in front of many committees, including GovOrg, Finance. They do budget hearings every year, so those are always a great opportunity. I would agree that they've not submitted a report since 2019 through the Guaranteed Workforce Program. I did ask specifically for some additional information to make sure funds are being distributed and they are being used, and they are. I don't have the specific amount with me right now, but I did request that as part of this process.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Folks, I think this is a great idea. I think anything we can do to help with upskilling our employees is fantastic. I really think this is going to help with manufacturing. I would just think with something that is a landmark piece of legislation, as I've seen it and others describe, that we would put a little more thought into it and have a little bit more of these questions answered. I wish we had a fiscal note. I wish we knew how much this was going to cost. But I'm happy to support it because I want to be upskilling our workers.
Gentleman from the 29th, Dylan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Vice Chair yield?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, in the gentle lady's line of questioning, did I understand or did I hear correctly that there are no requirements that the employees receiving this training would have to be United States citizens? Is that accurate?
What I said was it did not speak to that. I assume that they are West Virginia residents, they live here, and they're employed here. Okay. My assumption would be that they would be. The bill does not speak to it, sir.
Okay. So a worker under a permit or something like that would be allowed to take this training. Is this specific? I don't see any guidelines in here. Forgive me if I've missed it, but are there any specific industries that this applies to more than others, or is this any business in West Virginia?
So these are any businesses in West Virginia of which will qualify under the program. So if they are doing a significant upskilling, so let's say a laborer maybe with a coal company or an oil gas company who they are going to upskill into a CDL driver, something like that, that would be an applicable program.
Okay, so any and every business which qualifies, which according to the bill looks pretty broad, could receive this reimbursement from the West Virginia Treasury, the taxpayer, for training their employees under this.
Under this bill, yeah, with the caveats of they have to live in West Virginia, and the wage increase has to be at least a 25% wage increase.
And okay.
And it's a competitive program, sir. So it's based upon the allocation of the funding. So it's not we just send it in and there's a blank check. It's subject to appropriation by this body. So in a situation where it's a competitive program that looks at the 4 items I think I mentioned earlier, the wage increase, the amount contributed by the employer, the economic distress level of the region of which they work. And if you bear with me, I'll get the 4th one. All the employer actions related to prior awards, so that they've successfully been through the program, maybe they've not successfully been through the program, so it's a competitive process.
Okay, so presumably when the employee receives this training and they upskill, they'll be more productive is the idea, and the business will benefit from that. Is that,
Well, I think,
is that fair?
I mean, personally, I think it's the employee benefits because they now have a higher wage, so they have the opportunity and they have a new skill set, a new skill set, a new certification. I think the employer has a better retainment opportunity with their employee because they've invested in them, and I think the state benefits from the increased taxes of the wages and the ability to attract other people into the previous position that they've left.
How do employers currently evaluate whether to invest in employee training? Do they have to generate an ROI estimate and basically conduct a financial analysis to see if the company is going to benefit from that investment?
So a lot of private companies do it in a lot of different manners. I know in my business, the way when I look at it, is it good for the employee? Is it good for the company? Is it good for the state? Is it something that we're missing a skills gap on? Maybe we have that skill set that is not necessarily there that we want to develop. So it's normally a process of we go through in that situation.
Do you believe that interjecting public funds into the private business decision-making process with regard to how they choose to train employees, do you believe that that could be somewhat disruptive to the free market?
You know, I think when you look at free market principles, there's a lot of aspects that go into that. I think one of the things that we have a bigger issue with is our low workforce participation, which is around 54%. So in a situation where we have able bodies who are able to work, we have a tight labor market because if you go to try to hire someone, it's a hard time to hire someone because a lot of them are just missing the skills gaps. So maybe it's a situation where a mechanic in a coal mine may not have the ability to work on a certain type of piece of it. They need some skills training in order to go do something different for whatever reason. So a lot of times I think it comes into not necessarily a work ethic or in a body of an able-bodied worker, but it's an unmatched skill set for the job that is available.
And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that gaining skills is a very important part of our economy. It's important for our workers to be able to be more productive in their jobs and their workplaces. But this seems like an incredibly open-ended program we're about to authorize here. And would you say it's correct, Delegate, that West Virginia has some very significant budgetary concerns?
I think that's one of the reasons that we put it subject to appropriation, so that this body has the ability to evaluate the effectiveness of the program and what kind of employment actually gets increased, what kind of wages it get increased, what goes through the program, so that we can evaluate whether we want to continue to contribute money to it in the future. So that would be my answer, sir.
And final question, and I
Yes, sir.
appreciate your indulgence, but offhand, can you think of very many examples of when we've created a government program and didn't put hard caps on it from the outset, when that program has in the future actually been reduced or disbanded when maybe the results didn't come back as good as we hoped they would?
Well, I would say when you talk about a cap, there's not an overall cap. That's the cap that is set by this legislature as they appropriate in the budget. There is a cap to the training. There is a cap to the employer. And to answer your question, I do think that the governor's guaranteed workforce program, the West Virginia Guaranteed Workforce Program, previously had significant more money into it. They didn't use all the funds. That dipped over a period of years. Now you've seen the demand on those funds increase. So yeah, I have seen that decrease previously, and I have seen us hit those caps, and I have seen benefit from that program.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Permission to speak to the bill?
Thank you.
Yes, gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, intent of this piece of legislation But I think to the gentleman's point, it's more the exception than the rule that when government creates a new program, it's the exception that we don't just continually fund it and increase that funding year over year. That's the rule. That's how government generally tends to go. And without any clear, I understand the gentleman's point about subject to, I see a lot of things that are subject to appropriation. Those appropriations continue to increase year after year. With that being said, Mr. Speaker, I'm really struggling with this bill. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 23rd, Delegate Worrell is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I obviously support this bill since my name is on it, but wanted to clarify and talk about a couple things and what this does do. And employers, it's also for the small businesses, fabrication companies in my district, and I've spoken to a lot of them already, and they're thrilled about this program because right now in a small business, it's tough to afford $10,000 for welding training, $5,000 for CNC machining programming. And the other problem they have, they can't hire the skilled workers. They're not there. We're working on that. We're passing legislation to improve the skilled drug-free workforce in this state. This is one of those bills, by the way. But what it does do, what they're able to do is hire general laborers. And so they have a lot of those. And so what this is going to do, what this program is designed to do, is they can upskill those general laborers by sending to a CNC programming course, or they can do welding training, whatever, then increase their wages because these employers want to do so. But then it also creates the backfill position for that general labor. As the gentleman from the 72nd said, it raises that workforce participation rate. So it's a very big problem in our state is to find skilled drug-free tradespeople, skilled drug-free workforce. This bill helps that because they have the employees they trust, they already know that work for them. Now they can apply for this program to upskill their training, have that skilled drug-free workforce, and then once again backfill those positions with general laborers. So the people in my district are excited about this program. They want to apply. They're asking me when this will happen. I've told them hopefully the bill passes and is signed into law by the governor, and then I'll make sure to get them the information. But they're excited about the potential that they can't just throw out $50,000 to take 5 employees and send them to $10,000 welding school. But this program could help them do so, and then they're going to invest their money in the 25% increase in wages. That's not taxpayer money, that's private company money. And then once again, they're going to backfill that position, spending their money to pay those employees. I see this as a huge win-win. I'm excited this bill's before this body, and I hope you all will all support it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 22nd, Delegate Linville is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a terrific bill. House Bill 4004 is a great bill for our small businesses. I know the gentleman from the 23rd just pointed a little bit of this out, but I would point you to the $50,000 maximum for any company per year. So we do a lot of things trying to hit economic development home runs in the state of West Virginia, and we've hit some of them. But this is one of the first tailor-made bills for our small businesses. So if they do get the $10,000 maximum for an employee, that's allowing them to upskill at a maximum 5 employees. But I want to talk about and maybe drive home what this increase in wage actually means for those employees. If you make $40,000 a year, that's $19.25 an hour. This bill would require, if you want to qualify, for you to give them a raise up to $24 an hour, or a $10,000 pay raise, a $10,000 permanent pay raise. And you've got to keep that employee on for 2 years. I am a small business owner, and one of the best feelings that you can get as a small business owner is watching your employees grow and thrive, and for your company to be in a position to pay them better. So I own an IT company, and certifications actually open new doors for you. They open new revenue opportunities. They open new customers and markets that you can serve when you're able to do that. But some of those certifications are very expensive. Training the employee, then there's a cost to even taking the test, and then if they happen not to do well on the test, you got to pay it again. But it's worth it. It's really, really worth it. This is an investment not just in our small businesses, but in West Virginia-based businesses, in real West Virginians, and trying to continue to grow our state and provide prosperity for our people. This is one of the better bills that I've seen in my time in this legislature. I wish I could have been a co-sponsor on it. It filled up a little bit too fast. But I really hope that we can stop trying to pick it apart. This bill does have rulemaking required. And so the provisions to enact this law will also come back before us. And so some of the concerns, while folks didn't make an amendment on the amendment stage, either in committee or here on the floor, you'll have another opportunity at that when this comes back to us for rulemaking. I would encourage you to engage with the administration. But you know, we get criticized sometimes for doing a lot of things for very large, very wealthy out-of-state companies, and we want to welcome them as well because they can make major improvements in our state and invest a lot. But this is for our people. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge passage, and based upon the facts that I just stated, I ask for a Rule 49.
Is there further debate on the bill? Gentleman from 97, Douglas Anders is recognized. We will do a Rule 49 request later. There are many small business owners in the room. Gentleman from 97, Douglas Anders is recognized on the bill.
Well, thank you for that clarification, Mr. Speaker. I was going to request that, but at the same time, would the gentleman from the 72nd yield for some questions?
Yes, sir.
So my understanding is this is going to be taxpayer funded, correct?
If appropriated by this legislature, yes.
Okay, so what we're talking about is taking money from one individual to pay for training for another individual. Am I correct?
I look at it as an investing in citizens of West Virginia. You may look at it differently.
All right, but thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the bill? Does the gentleman from the 72nd wish to close debate on the bill?
Yes, I do.
The gentleman is recognized to close debate on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I appreciate the comments and the questions from everyone. I think it's always important that we try to really dig in when we're looking to invest the state's tax dollars. And I can't think of a better place to invest in the people of West Virginia. And I strongly support the Recharge West Virginia Act because this bill is about investing in our people and building a stronger economy for our state. So why is this good public policy? I can name 3 reasons. First, it creates a smart incentive for companies to grow here and hire here, West Virginians. It creates real opportunities for West Virginians to earn industry-recognized credentials and move into higher-paying jobs. It's what we always talk about. Let's raise people up, help them up. It closes the skills gap. It keeps talent in West Virginia, which is our biggest export right now. And it prioritizes regions with economic distress, those southern coal fields who said, we need something. This is something. It may not be perfect. We're hitting a lot of singles. I think this is a double, maybe a triple. And it does so with accountability for the employers and the employees. You know, listening to the gentleman from the 23rd, I realized that the Recharge West Virginia Act fits perfectly not only into one, but 2 pillars of our Jobs First opportunity everywhere. You know, I originally thought, well, this fits right in our workforce ready education pillar. And then as I listened to him talk about, hey, this really creates a second job for that laborer, it also creates that job creating business climate that we're looking to do. And so members, with that, I'll finish up and I'll say, I think this is a win, win, win. I think workers gain skills and better pay, businesses gain a stronger workforce, and our state gains a stronger and more competitive economy. So let's recharge West Virginia and let's make opportunity a reality. I urge passage.
Debate on the bill has been closed. Gentleman, the 22nd did seek a ruling from the chair pursuant to House Rule 49. There are a number of people in the room who've expressed a similar concern prior to today's floor session to the chair. This time, the chair will ask the clerk to please prepare the machine for a Rule 49 request. If you wish a ruling by the chair pursuant to House Rule 49 as to your eligibility to vote on this question, please register your request with the voting machine. Clerk will please prepare the machine. Clerk will please close the machine. Being greater than 5 individuals who have sought a ruling from the chair pursuant to House Rule 49 as to your eligibility to vote on this question, the chair rules that all members are eligible to vote. Question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 86 ayes, 7 nays, and 6 members absent. The majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4004.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to make the bill effective for passage.
The question is on the gentleman's motion that committee substitute for House Bill 4004 be made effective from passage. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 87 ayes, 6 nays, and 6 members absent. 2/3 of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares that bill effective from passage. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4456 relating to clarification of a law enforcement agency and cooperation between law enforcement agencies and personnel states bordering this state.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. The gentleman from the 55th, Douglas Akers, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 4456 amends existing code, which already allows cooperative agreements for in-state law enforcement agencies to enter into similar agreements with border state law enforcement agencies. The amendment adds a definition of law enforcement agency in clarification of that distinction. It also clarifies the definition of a criminal justice enforcement personnel to include personnel from adjoining states, adds to the law enforcement agency authority to provide assistance from another state law enforcement agency, or to receive that same assistance from an adjoining state. In absent emergency circumstances, clarifies that request to receive assistance must be in writing in accordance with this code section. It's a brief description of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I'll take any questions and urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on this question. We had 93 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4456.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4484 to expand each county commission's ability to sell or lease property.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman from the 98, Douglas Funkhauser, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute for House Bill 4484 amends Chapter 7, Article 3, Section 3 to authorize county commissions to use competitive bidding and direct sales to private parties as alternatives to the public auction process and increases the minimum property value covered by this section from $1,000 to $10,000. The committee substitute sets forth requirements for competitive bidding, including a minimum sales price of 1.5 times the assessed value or 90% of the appraised value, and standards for notice, bidder qualification, equal opportunity, award criteria, and record keeping, and also establishes requirements for direct sales to private parties, including a minimum purchase price of 75% of the appraised value in compliance with notice, publication, and other transparency requirements. Finally, the committee substitute clarifies that this section does not apply to trade-in transactions involving county-owned property and authorizes county commissions to lease real or personal property for fair and adequate consideration for terms up to 50 years. That's the summary of the bill, Mr. Speaker. Happy to answer any questions, and I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on this question. We had 92 ayes, 1 nay, and 6 members absent. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4484.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Gentleman from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move to make the bill effective for passage.
The question is on the gentleman's motion that the bill be made effective from passage. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 93 ayes, 0 nays, and 6 members absent. 2/3 of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill effective from passage. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House and the Senate. Are there further bills on third reading? If not, bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4606 relating to the meaning of residence for the purpose of bail.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Lewis moves to amend the committee substitute on page 2, line 26, following the words "of evidence" by striking out the colon and the proviso on lines 26 through 28 and inserting in lieu thereof a period. This is HFA Lewis 2-4.
Question before the House is the adoption of the amendment just read by the clerk. Chair recognize the sponsor, gentleman from the 57th, Delegate Lewis, to open debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll begin by saying I believe that the provision in which I intend to strike is not germane to the bill. We're talking about residency requirements. This is talking about, at least the portion that I intend to strike, is talking about bail requirements as far as felonies, whether a magistrate can do that or not. In addition, I would just like to say, magistrates are elected officials. They understand their community. They understand their local criminal justice system better than we can. So to take that discretion away from them, I don't feel like is right or adequate. In addition, when we're talking about felonies, again, when you're talking about violent felonies and different things of that nature, I would agree. But we're talking, we could be talking things about bad checks on your own account when you're going through a hard time. We're talking about cannabis crimes. In addition, limiting that discretion takes away that cooperation from magistrates and law enforcement. There may be a reason why maybe law enforcement wants to see this person, get bail. I would also argue that, the code provision which is quoted was from 1965, and it had to do more with justice of the peace and not our current system of magistrates. And my last point is that our jail bills are going to go through the roof. Last year in 2025, we had $50 million in jail bills. It's $50 million. That's an all-time high. So delaying, and again, these may be small delays, you think, maybe 10 days, 8 days until they can get that preliminary hearing, but it's going to have a significant cost and increase our jail bills. And, and again, some may argue that, magistrates aren't, conducting these sort of trials, but magistrates also do those preliminary hearings as far as probable cause hearings. So, those would be my reasons, and I'll take any questions. I've reserved the right to close. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 55th, Douglas Akers, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman from the 57th raised a German on the chair, so I won't speak to that, but I will speak to the amendment if permitted.
Gentleman is recognized.
Okay, thank you, sir. So under current law, 62-1C-4, which the gentleman referenced, he said it was a statute from the 60s, but it's still the law, plainly states that if the offense is a felony, the judge of the court that will have jurisdiction to try the offense may release the defendant on his own recognizance. That's the law, and it has been the law for about 50-plus years. And magistrates, while I agree they understand their communities and the people who appear before them, they're also required to understand the law, which I think they do, and that's what the law is. I don't believe there are a large number of criminal defendants who are charged with felonies who may be getting released on PR bonds, but to the extent there are, which apparently this gentleman from the 57th thinks that happens, and it probably does on occasion, it should not be happening under current law. And I will also note that within the existing code section we're talking about here today, it states that the judicial officer must determine the reasonable or the least restrictive conditions. That is true, but the least restrictive conditions must also comply with law. Pretrial felons are not supposed to be released on a PR bond unless it's by the court has jurisdiction to try their case and convict the defendant potentially. Only a circuit court has that ability. And I'll also note in response to the allegation or contention that jail bills will go through the roof, if a defendant has a bond set in magistrate court and then files for a bond reduction in circuit court, the circuit judge has to have a hearing on that bond reduction motion within 5 days under the rules of criminal procedure. So it's a very, very short time frame for for something that should not be happening anyway, but the circuit judge can release the defendant at that time on a PR bond if the circuit judge, who we also should trust in these situations, their discretion, if they believe that's what's best in the best interest of the community. So I would urge rejection of the gentleman's amendment. It is germane to the bill to the extent I can say that because it deals with bail. But again, this amendment that the gentleman is asking us to do strikes out a provision that simply requires magistrates to comply with existing law. So again, I urge rejection. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again is on adoption of the amendment as read by the clerk. Gentleman from the 69th Delegate Marple is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I can speak from 20 years of experience as a magistrate. Any arraignments, any magistrate, as well as circuit judges, do, that is a question always of the person's residence. If they are residents of West Virginia, that is always taken into consideration. There are a lot of other issues to take into consideration for setting bail. And in every case that I had, West Virginia residency was a plus. But there may be a lot of other negatives that this person doesn't deserve to be released on personal recognizance or low bail. So generally, the person's character, the crime, and the residency is always taken into consideration, I believe. It'll just be a reminder if this bill passed that each magistrate has to think about it. And I assure you the majority of them possibly 100% do and should. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the amendment? If not, Chair recognizes the sponsor to close the debate. Yes, gentleman from the 54th, Douglas Pushkin, is recognized before the Chair recognizes the sponsor to close debate. Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. Would the Chairman of Judiciary yield?
Yes.
So what the amendment's trying to strike, it's basically, you're saying it's currently in another section of code as well?
621C-4.
Okay, and so no felons right now could get a PR bond?
Incorrect. The circuit court is permitted by law to issue a PR bond because the circuit court is where that's the court of jurisdiction over the potential conviction lies in a felony case.
Okay,
so the circuit court may issue a PR bond.
The circuit court may, the magistrate may not. So
If it's a felony charge.
If it's a felony charge. Okay,
That's what the law reads.
Okay, so even if it's a former party chair that's out on a felony bond right now.
Discussion, I'm having a debate over the bill and the amendment. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 57th to close debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I just want to reiterate my points, but I won't go through all that. You heard them already. But I will say the gentleman from the 55th talked about there would only be a short time, so maybe like 5 days. I want to remind you that we had close to 14,000 felonies last year. 14,000 in West Virginia. So that 5 days is going to add up. You're going to have to go back to your community and justify why those jail bills keep going up. By 2027, it's predicted that our jail bills are going to rise from currently $50,000 to over $60 million. So again, I think it's a financial implication, and as the gentleman alluded to, magistrates, they understand their communities, and a lot of the factors that's already enumerated in this bill are taken into consideration. Thank you.
The question is, shall the amendment as read by the clerk be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. And noes have it. Chair declares that amendment lost. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Are there other bills on second reading?
House Bill 4696, authorize the Department of Environmental Protection to deposit funds granted pursuant to federal programs.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on second reading? If not, bills on first reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4012, relating to reducing the regulatory burden on utility companies when constructing and maintaining electric power generation and transmission facilities within the state.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4026, relating to expanding the requirements for integrated resource plans utility companies must file with the Public Service Commission.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4198.
Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unanimous consent to postpone action 1 day.
Gentleman asks unanimous consent to postpone action 1 day on the bill. Are there objections? No objections are heard. The bill will be postponed by 1 day. Further bills on first reading?
Committee substitute for House Bill 4382, require collection agencies to provide 30 days notice prior to wage garnishments.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4461, establishing limitations on billing practices of internet or telecommunications providers that fail to provide subscribed customers service for 5 or more days.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4552, relating to the law enforcement powers of correctional officers.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4570, to make the posting of a summons in a conspicuous place on a rental property acceptable service when a tenant is unavailable for personal service.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4625, relating to quit claim deeds.
Bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on first reading? If not, leaves of absence. Gentleman first.
For our colleagues, Mr. Speaker, Jared Cannon, Brian Ward, Brian Smith, Kump, Doug Smith, and Vance.
Are there objections to leaves of absence being granted? No objections are heard, and those leaves of absence will be granted. Introductions. Introductions. Gentleman from the 28th, Douglas Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to announce that sponsored by the West Virginia Academy of Family Physicians and celebrating the 37th anniversary of Doc of the Day program, our family doctor today is Dr. Emma Ellis. If the House would please make her feel welcome.
Further introductions. Miscellaneous business. Gentleman from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move subject to announcements. House adjourned until tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Are there announcements? Chair will announce that it is Wednesday, and we will have remarks by members pursuant to request of a member at 5 p.m. this evening in the House chamber. Gentleman from the 72nd, Douglas Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are several announcements for your Committee on Finance. Your Subcommittee on Revenue will meet today, February 4th at 5 p.m. in the Finance Committee room for a committee meeting. The agenda is posted. Your Subcommittee on Appropriations will meet tomorrow, February 5th at noon in the Finance Committee room for a meeting. The agenda is posted. And your Committee on Finance will meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for a budget hearing from the Department of Tourism and the Economic Development Authority. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 41st, Delegate Maynor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Subcommittee on Legal Services will meet immediately following floor session in the Judiciary Committee room. Your Judiciary Committee and subcommittees will meet on Thursday, February 5th in the Judiciary Committee room. For tomorrow, the Committee on the Judiciary will meet at 9 a.m. Republican members of the committee will caucus in the chairman's office at 8:45 a.m. Subcommittee on Legal Services will meet at 9:45 a.m. Your Subcommittee on Homeland Security will meet at 10 a.m. And finally, your Subcommittee on the Courts will meet at 10:15 a.m. and all agendas will be posted. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 68th, Douglas Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Government Organization will meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda is posted. And your Subcommittee on Government Administration will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda will be posted.
Gentleman from the 92nd, Douglas Height.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Public Health will meet today, February 4th at 3 p.m. in the Health and Human Resources Committee room. The agenda is posted. And your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet Thursday, February 5th at 3:30 p.m. in the Health and Human Resources Committee room. Republican members will caucus at 3. The agenda will be posted. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 43rd, Delegate Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Education will meet today at 1 p.m. in the Education Committee room. The agenda is posted. Your Subcommittee on Public Education will meet tomorrow, Thursday, February the 5th at 1 p.m. in the Education Committee room. Your Subcommittee on Educational Choice will meet tomorrow, Thursday, February the 5th at 1:40 in the Education Committee room. Both agendas will be posted.
Gentleman from the 2nd, Douglas Atezolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Energy and Public Works will meet today, February 4th, in the House Judiciary Committee room at 3 p.m. Also, your Subcommittee on Environment, Infrastructure, and Technology will meet tomorrow, February 5th, in the House Judiciary Committee room at 3 p.m. The agendas for both meetings are posted. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 23rd, Douglas Worrell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The West Virginia AFL-CIO Labor Caucus meeting will be in the East Wing Committee room immediately following floor session, and lunch will be provided. Thank you.
Are there further announcements? If not, the question is on the motion that the House adjourn to 11 a.m. tomorrow. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is adjourned to 11 a.m. tomorrow.